Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to day one of the Texas Pinball Festival 2026. Give yourself a round of applause. Do you guys know who these guys are here? They have one of my favorite games on the floor, I will say this, and I'm so happy that you built this game just for me. I mean, that was very kind of you. Labyrinth, have you played it? Have you played Winchester yet, though? That's the newest one, came out October 2025, and of course Dune came out earlier that year, April 2025. So all of those machines are in your booth right now.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, so you got an hour. You can ask them anything, and I want to take a moment to introduce them. David Van Ness, the Chief Mischief Officer, or CEO, the guy with the numbers. That's the guy on the left. Give him a round of applause. They both have very distinct accents, and you'll notice that Brian Savage...
That's a lie. That's a lie. No one has an accent up here at all.
Brian Savage on the right, he is the Chief Business Officer. He's all business all the time. Here he is, Barrels of Fun.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
I can't tell you.
Well, that just stinks.
Yeah. So, guys, welcome to our seminar. I can tell you right now. Did anyone say anything before us about not buying a game? Just want to verify that. Oh, crickets. Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you for being here. I want to see a show of hands who owns a Barrels of Fun game here. Wow, it's getting more and more. All right. So what about Labyrinth owners? Okay. Dune.
They won't give me one yet.
You gotta wait. And Winchesters.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about a little bit of the growth of the company.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's talk about that a second. Well, have you registered your game? Well, then that's a problem for you. But at some point, have you registered your Dune game? Okay, well, that's all you need to do. So
the question is, has everyone registered?
Has everyone registered their games? Yes? Why do you register your game with us? Because, well, warranty, that's a good reason. That's a good reason. But the number one reason is because in not too distant future, we will be giving away another free game, which will be a Winchester. And it goes to either Dune or Labyrinth owners that have registered their games. That's where we draw it from. So make sure you register your games. Now, you're going to tell the history of the company, or what boring thing were you going to say?
I completely forgot because I'm just mesmerized by you.
I just took over.
Absolutely.
I'm known as the not so silent partner.
So I just want to talk about the journey that we've gotten to come here. We launched our first game, it was Friday the 13th, October 2023, and that was Labyrinth. And the reception for that game was pretty phenomenal. I can't say how speechless that we were, what we was received from you guys. And honestly, we had to crank up our ability to do production. So that kind of changed our timeline because we wanted to make sure you got your games. That led into Dune, and we launched Dune not at a show, and it was a little bit soft. We were right in between Harry Potter and King Kong. It was very interesting times for us, but we had to keep growing the facility. So we started out with 10 people on the line. With Dune, we got to about 25 people on the line, and then our goal for that year was to actually release 2 games and have 2 lines. And Winchester was a part of that plan. So that you guys understand, we did not anticipate the excitement you would all have for Winchester. Our real goal was to produce about 5 games a week of that, because how many of you guys knew Winchester before you knew
How many had Winchester on their bingo card? Okay, how many people had Dune on their bingo card? Okay, how many people had Labyrinth on their bingo card? All right, you see kind of a theme going here.
But so who did know what Winchester was? Hey, no, you did not.
Well, sort of.
So
I was still worried about it, but sort of.
Again, we kind of used that game to help us build the second line. We figured the demand would be soft, and we could slowly get it out to people. And then you guys sold it out in 28 hours. So we had to work very quickly to then ramp up line 2 more than we anticipated, which means we are now of a company of 48 people. Training through the holidays has been an interesting task, to say the least, including hiring people like Kyle Smith, that's sitting right there.
Yay!
So, we are trying to meet expectations, and we keep underestimating what you guys want from us. And all I can say is thank you for that. It is not easy. Starting a second line during the holidays and flu season was underestimated by us. But the good news is the people are trained. The games are moving quicker and quicker each week, and I think we're on a good path. So
for those of you who has a game on order right now? Okay, either one. So, of course you have them on order. You always have them on order. So we are planning to finish the Dune production will be in June. And we are planning still to finish the Winchester production in September. So it will be ramping up a lot. As one drops off, the other will pick up the speed, and we'll be pushing a lot more out the door. So that's kind of our schedule. What we're doing now is we're billing people, either vendors or individuals, 4 weeks out. Doesn't mean you have to pay that day. It just means now you know you need to pay, and you have time to get your money together and get it in. And so that way you kind of know your game is coming. So that's what we've gone to now to try to get everything on an even keel and so people know what's coming down. So if you haven't been sent an invoice or contacted about shipping or anything like that, then you know your game's further than 4 weeks out. Sorry.
So with that being said,
what questions does anyone have? All right, well, thanks for coming. And
well,
step up to the microphone.
So what goes into the decision on limited run games and what number, and what decision comes into the process of deciding how many you're going to make? And will you ever choose to go back and revisit a title such as Winchester?
We will never go back to a title. That is our current plan. What goes into it? Well, it is part art, it is part science, it is part looking at the market. I'll give you an example. So when you build the toys, the different pieces that are inside the machine, that is basically a 6-month normal turn time. So you have to look in your crystal ball and say, 6 months from now, are the tariffs going to be higher? Are the tariffs going to be lower? Are we going to be at war? Or is everybody going to have more money in their pocket, or what? Are there going to be more games out, less games out? What's going on? What do we think? So you kind of look at that and get your best gut feel. You look at your past history of sales to see what has gone on before, and then you kind of make a decision. So there's no real exact way. We just have to ponder it a lot, and we discuss it a lot, and then we make a decision. The thing that you have to remember is building pinball machines and the whole pinball industry, this is not a sprint, okay? This is an ultra marathon. And you will make some great decisions, you'll make some poor decisions, and hopefully you make a lot of Goldilocks decisions that are just right. Because that's what we're looking for. We want to make one more machine than everybody wants to buy, because I have to have one. I don't care about him, but I have to have one at the end. So we want to make one more machine that everybody wants to buy. Because to me, and I come from the action figure background of collectibles and Transformers and G.I. Joe. And so the thing that is bad I found in that market is scalping. Scalping does not help. Scalping might make you feel good as an owner, or I bought it and it's going to go up in value. But I would have people always ask me, what toy should I buy that is going to go up in value? I said, well, let me look in the crystal ball. I don't know. You buy what you like. And if it goes up in value, great. And if it doesn't, great, because you still like it, okay? It's not an investment. If you want to make an investment, call a broker, okay? But to speculate in this kind of stuff is just, it's not healthy. And what I've seen over time is too much scalping tends to kill a hobby because I couldn't get it at the issue price, and so I don't want it at all now. If I can't get it at the price, I'm not buying it ever, ever. Maybe not. But that's so we want you to be able to, we want everyone that wants a machine to get it at the retail price. So again, it's a little science, a little art, a little whatever, and that's a very long-winded explanation, but there you go.
Well, and the other side is we're also making 3 to 4 year decisions. So with our contracts that we work with and working with our licenses, is we're just trying to estimate what the market's going to be like in that far down the path. That's why nostalgia IPs work, because that comes along with us. Again, I'm not sure anyone had a nostalgia for Winchester, but
you do now.
But again, when you look at when I'm building the teams, and you have people like Jeff over there, Blake, Travis, Carl, like my job, my single job in this company is to take the most talented people I know or know of and give them the resource to make the best game and make sure they're inspired to keep going, because it's going to be tough, because there's going to be decisions. There is no perfect license out there, and there's always going to be restrictions on what you can do. So the question is, how do we make it the best of the resources that we have? A lot of people, when you get a license, sometimes you get a lot of assets, sometimes you don't. Winchester, we didn't have anything. We had to build that from scratch. And that is not a cheap endeavor, but with the resources we had to put into building that game, it's now going to allow us to expand our teams to actually work on more projects. So there's a logic behind spending X amount of money to create the assets for this game is now going to help us in the future, because now we have a pool of talented people to help growing the teams to do that. I mean, adding Jeff onto our teams has greatly changed our impact on our games. But he's just as passionate as all of us on our teams. And it's my job to keep them going and answer his calls. So, yeah, stand up, boy.
Come.
Hello. Reputations for a pinball company, a lot of it comes from build quality. Now, what I want to know from you as a startup and now one of the big players, you've doubled your workforce on the assembly line. How do you do the play testing? We know some other manufacturers have just released a new game and the ball guide's slightly in the wrong spot and the ball's going down the middle. Other manufacturers release one and a mech blows up or something. Why are your games getting a really good reputation as far as build quality? In what phase do you make sure that happens?
It's a tricky, there's no perfect answer for that, because we are not perfect. Trust me, I see it every day, okay? So there was a level of with Labyrinth. I mean, I would personally reject so many parts out of Labyrinth that I realized I've kept on this path. We would be broken 12 months, right? Because as I approach this, I'm building these games as what I want to see as a collective, what we want to see as collectively, right? So there's a level of tempering what our expectations are, okay? We are not perfect, but we learn from it. And there's a point I'm not saying don't buy the first game that comes out the factory, but there's going to be tweaks that have to be made, okay? Sometimes we're lucky, sometimes we're not. And then you'll see the build get better, but then all of a sudden, halfway through the run, your team, I got to keep the team motivated on the line, because there's a fatigue that sets in. So nothing is perfect when building these games, right? We relied on our vendors, and then I don't consider them vendors, they're partners to us. There's got to be a win-win for both of us. But there's been times we actually had to start up a whole woodwork facility in our facility in 6 weeks because our vendor decided that he wanted to go in another direction. And that's completely fine. But man, you gotta
Well, the important thing is, in the quality, even if something slips through or it's bad or whatever gets out there, we stand behind our games. And we're going to do whatever we need to do to make it right. And I think you can, from what you've seen in the environment out there, that's very true, that, then we will take care of whatever it is we need to take care of. And that's the important part.
And also having the resources in-house.
Right.
So there's a lot of rework that needs to be done. Traditional, you would get it in as an assembly manufacturer. You get it in, you QC it. If it's wrong, you send it back out. We've now grown to a point where we can actually retro work on most of our stuff. So if it comes in, we can fix it, we build that back to the vendor, and we get the product moving that day. We also have a lot more rapid prototyping, also short turnaround manufacturing. So if we have 6 ramps, a couple of ramps that need to be fixed, we can actually make them on the spot and get them games going that day versus having to wait for the vendor to send it to us. It's not the ideal situation, but every day I go into work, it's a whole
Because you would think, I don't know, this is the 500th time you've made that part. Why did you make it different this time? And we don't know that till they come in the door. And so we have to kick it back or make a decision or change something to shuck and jive. It's kind of like the other part with the vendors is, so if you've wondered about when you find out, when we tell you when your potential delivery is, and Chris knows this, it's like, well, that slipped. And so the way it works is we get delivery dates from our vendors, okay, which they're lying to us. They just don't know they're lying. Then we turn around and tell the distributors what date they're going to get it, so I'm lying to him. And then he lies to his customers and tell them what date they're going to get their machines. The problem is, at the time, we don't all know we're lying, okay? But it's the best that we know at that time. But things do happen, like parts come in wrong, parts do not come in time, parts get stuck in customs for 10 days. This happened last week, so it stops the line because we don't have the stuff to make it.
Yeah.
So
and we're investing a lot into getting more stuff, more space so we can store stuff. So it's all a part of, I wouldn't say the great big plan, but we keep adapting.
and more vertical integration. The thing that you find with vertical integration of building the parts yourself is you don't save any money per se. We don't make any more money, but what we control a little bit more of is the schedule. And the schedule is money because I can't go back and redo yesterday.
And at the end of this, almost all these games are made by people. It's almost like art. Every game is different. Every game has a different journey, even if it falls off the back of a truck, which we will take care of.
We've had happen.
But all our people is like, I go out on the line and talk to them and figure out, help them make that best piece of art, because we are making playable art. So that was way too long. All right.
Question. Who's got a question? Someone.
There we go. Here he comes. He's
Yes,
got
sir.
a question.
Help me.
Come up to the
Wait.
microphone. Have a question.
Yeah.
What is your favorite feature in one of your 3 games?
Oh, just throw it at me.
Yeah.
What is the favorite feature?
I got a feeling I know what it is.
Well, I can use a Gary Sternism on that. The one that I helped figure out. Maybe not. No, favorite feature. I don't know. They're all interesting and different because, like in Labyrinth, the comedy is easy. Okay, if I can make you laugh, if I can make a fiery head pop out and say mean things to you, or have the toppers, be mean to you, you laugh. I have you at that point. Okay. Dune, serious. Ooh, so we got to have something in there that is super spectacular. So we have to have a worm. We have to have a worm in there, and the worm has to be super fantastic and be. I guess we were very adventuresome in building that particular mechanism in Game 2. Because that is all custom from ground up. It's never been done anything like that at all. So we reached out really far for that. Then you've got in Winchester, you've got the Pepper's Ghost, which was interesting because we were all trying to figure out how do we do this effect in the game and how to make it work out. And one of the funny stories I tell on that is Carl and I were both trying to work on that at the same time. And we were thinking, well, maybe we can use a video projector to do this. So we both went on Amazon independently and purchased the exact identical projector. We didn't talk to each other at all. And then we figured out that's not going to work. Okay. And he finally worked it all out and figured out how to make the Pepper Ghost. We had to go back to the exact traditional, way. There's only one way that it really works. And so I wouldn't say that any of them are favorite. I think they're all special in their own way because of the game. And that's what we look at when we develop an IP, is we start with, what does this IP need? What should it have? Well, in a haunted house, what do you need? You need ghosts walking around the house, okay? What do you need in Dune? You need a giant worm. What should the worm do? I don't know, eat the ball, which was a decision we talked about a lot. Is the eating the ball good or bad? You know, I kind of felt like it was bad. In the game, I think it ended up being good, but it's like, you know, you get eaten by the worm, it's bad. So, but, you know, in Labyrinth, you know, this was one of David's favorite childhood IPs, and so he knew how all the fieries should work and how all the things to make you laugh. So there's a challenge in everything, and what we have to do is come up with a favorite mechanism for every game. I don't think there's one that's for one game, but I think it has to be for every game.
Interesting.
You want to say something?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
No, so it's really, for me, it's about the moment. It's the combination, it's the magic trick of it, right? It's not about the toy, it's not about the sound effect, it's not about X. It's the combination of all of the elements together to create that moment that connects you to that point of time. So if I can get you, like with Dune, I remember the day I walked in there, there was no, like, the light show was put in, the first mode was put in for ride. Like, at that point, you're just playing through moments. There's nothing really connected. But when you have the orchestra of the music, the sound effects and the lights, and the toys doing what they need to be doing, that's what makes pinball special, those moments. So the question is, what are those moments? And it's like, yeah, we bit off a lot on Dune regarding technology, right? Winchester was more of a magic trick with, you know, what Carl and working together about the passion of what we had for that. But it's the moments that we put into it. So when you say, what's my favorite part? Riding the worm for the first time in Dune, that was a magic moment for me, okay? Labyrinth, for example, for me, I get the biggest tickle off is popping the heads off the fieries. You know, really simple stuff. Okay, or Ludo coming out of the roof and saying goodbye to you at the end. You know, those are the things that I want our games to be emotional. They gotta be in a journey. And what I hope we do as we announce the next game right now, right?
All right, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
We'll leave it for another time. Is we want you guys, when you see what we do, you may, like, it could be the biggest IP that you already know. You already know it. But I want you guys, Barrels made this. I want to give that a go. I don't care what it is. It could be 7-Eleven, the pinball machine. But hopefully you guys recognize that we're going to give you an experience that
I think
you didn't
that's
expect
QT
to have.
and hot dogs or something, isn't it? I don't know.
Slushy. I don't know if we can get slushy.
I don't know, in the machine. But the important thing to me about any game that you purchase, any one of them, you want the game to call you back. You don't want us to go, well, I played it. Who cares? You want the game to say, come and play me again. Oh, I didn't do the thing. Oh, I want to try again. Oh, I almost got it. Oh, I did get it. Oh, yay. You know, so you want that excitement in the game to call you back to play it over and over and over. And that's the magic. That's the magic trick, as David would say, in every game is, what can we put in that game that is going to interest you so much that you go, I could play this one or I could play that one. Nah, I'll play that one. Because who wants a game in their house that you go like, well, I played, I'm kind of tired of it. Nobody. So that's what we always strive for, is something that is magical to that IP or is dead center, you know, with that IP.
Dr. John.
He wants to go first.
All right, Emily.
So you talked about with your licensing that you go off nostalgia, but also market, like what in 4 years will people be interested in? So I'm just curious on your process with the first 3 games, the process of choosing your licensing, since to me it feels like they're definitely 3 different licenses. The first one being the nostalgia, Dune being more of a market value with the new movies, and then Winchester being just a whole different ballpark. So what's the process of their
So
What was it, a dartboard?
licensing?
no, not at all.
Wasn't a dartboard, okay.
The first 3 licenses you just talked about were all pre-chosen before we were a public company to you all, right? These are all post-launch everything you see moving forward is
Those were pre-launch. Everything now is post-launch.
post-launch.
Yeah.
So we, when you go and get licenses, you have to prove to them that you're going to make a product. I mean, I think I've said this publicly before, but when we finally delivered the game to the Henson studio, they really took me aside. They just like, hey, David, I just want you to know that we didn't think you would be able to make this. Right? Because for them in the film world, they see a lot of creative people have, visions and destinations they want to go to, but 9 out of 10 times it's really hard to get to. For them to see us deliver the product that was better than the concept that we gave them, they were dumbfounded by it. Like, how did you do this? Like, you didn't have a factory when we were talking to you. You're just going to do this. And they see that all the time, right? So from that, we showed that to Legendary, and Winchester was actually even before Dune, right? These are companies that I knew would be great moments in pinball. But everything after that, Labyrinth already been out. Dune was already coming out. Like all this stuff, like we already now have studios seeing what we're doing with these IPs, and like we want you to be part of this experience.
You don't know how many people have reached out to us.
So
a lot.
And again, there's some that we've said no to because they don't have the assets correct. Because if they can't give us a certain thing to make that experience, we're out. Because that hurts you guys, it hurts us, and at the end of the day, it's going to hurt their brand too.
And we also don't want to do something that we don't care about at all, because then it just becomes work. There's already enough work already. We don't need it to be more work. So we want something that we'll be excited about and you'll be excited about too, because our next game is
7-Eleven?
No. An IP that you all know, but we're not going to tell you what it is. Everybody in this building knows the next IP. Everybody. Everyone.
Yeah. Now, we thought that about Dune too, just so you all know. So, I mean, honestly, when we looked at Dune, you've got the nostalgia for the books, you have the nostalgia for the 1984 movie, and you had the new movies that have generated over $1 billion. And when we had the media people over, 60% of them had never seen the films. And we're like, oh, that's interesting.
That's a problem.
But we sold out.
So far. But we reserve the right to make the last 300 should we so decide later in the future.
We have
so just
way
keep that
too
in
much
mind.
in the pipeline. But anyway.
You talk about moments in June. Love your worm, by the way, just between you and me. But the big thing that keeps me going in June, if I was just watching that thing go up and down, and the light show is extraordinary. What it looks like sand with that Atmos light, is that what you call it?
Hal lighting?
Yeah.
Hal lighting.
Okay, I got a story you want to go ahead.
I was just thinking, was that developed independently of the game and then you bought it for the game, or was it as part of the game? But the choreography of that light show when you start multi-ball is extraordinary. So what's
Travis,
the story
why don't you
behind it?
step up the mic and talk about how this came to being? And then I've got a story about the whole playfield.
Oh yeah, Hal was one of the things from being a group of pinball players where we were tired of dark games and playing pinball in the
And
dark.
our customers were saying, Labyrinth is too dark. Labyrinth is
too dark.
Playing pinball in the dark is the proper way to play pinball. It's in an arcade. So we decided, we had many ideas early on about how we wanted to get full cabinet lighting and to be able to do ambient lighting all the time. Whether it was just simple white or, full, we eventually ended up with full RGB. But yeah, we had a lot of ideas, but we've got some mechanical engineering wizardry back at the factory who made it happen. Custom excursions.
And that was literally about 2 months before launch. Like it was like we got to the point where we were kind of like, man, we got to figure out. And we were just looking at the glass trim, and we're like, because I don't want the lights on the side because I don't want to see them.
Don't want to see them.
I want them to be hidden away. And I was just looking at it, I was like, can we not just, because we're talking about that first cabinet, we cut a line with a 45 degrees so we could put it in there. And then it was like, well, crap, why don't we just take the glass trim, retool it, and put the 45-degree into it. And then it's just one piece installed. There's none of this taping it into the cabinet and then putting the trim down. It's literally one trim, glue it in, and popped it in. And that literally was a half a week test of that, this is going to work. And then within 4 weeks, we had it up and running. Like, that was one of the fastest, like,
When Sally decided what to do.
Figured it out.
Yeah, the extruders came through for us, the LED people came through for us.
and then we can talk about all the stuff that just fall on their face. But that's another story. But
Because by that point, we had determined that we were going to do the day-night cycle within that game, and there was a need to creatively create this feeling of going from daytime to nighttime. We had to do something beyond what we had done in Labyrinth.
Can everybody hear what Blake said? Okay, so what he's saying is out of the storytelling necessity of the game, we wanted to have the day and nighttime cycle. And if we don't have lights in there, we can't do the cycle very good.
And talking about the playfield, and I didn't even think about this, and Stefan actually was privileged enough to come down and actually see the game before everyone else. And he brings into the game, and he's like, oh, this is beautiful.
Wait, Stefan's our European distributor.
He is like, this game is beautiful, and he's just looking at it, and he's like, but there's nothing to do on it, like, cause he hadn't seen the worm or anything, so he starts playing it, and he's like, oh, that's like Totem, because he sees the ball go down. He's like, oh, very good, and he keeps playing it, and ball 3, because we traditionally always on ball 3, if you haven't seen the toy, you'll see the toy, and then all of a sudden, the worm comes up, and I could just see he was like, oh. So this is going to be good, David. This is going to be good. So, it was one of those things of, we have trusted partners, and we are developing in a closed silo all the time, and it's really, really tough to be objective. And I try to encourage our teams to challenge each other, and it's a safe space to do that. Sometimes it doesn't feel that way, but that's why I try to encourage. But that's how lighting and how, he saw the lighting and he loved it, and he's like, it's kind of bare, and then all of a sudden the worm comes up and he's like, oh, this is good. So.
But we do have a very closed loop, as you know, of people that know what we're doing. And the reason is because we feel like that we kind of put the faux back into FOMO, because that had really been kind of dying in the hobby until Winchester came along. And so we think it is really critical that nobody knows what we're doing until we drop it. That way, you have no preconceptions of what this game should be, what should be in it. You just go, oh, absolutely, that's what it should be. Because if it's been talked about for a year or 2 years, by the time that goes along, there's no way any manufacturer on the planet can build the game that you have in your head. Because you've decided what all the things it should do, and then you go, well, it doesn't do blah. So that's why we'll always try our very bestest to keep it a secret. Shh. So we're still not going to tell you what the next game is.
Any other questions?
Come on.
No?
Somebody. It's still on
my
schedule
phone.
for August. Matter of fact, I finally gotten some things that I can show you online. I'm going to show you kind of in process of what's going on. Some of it may make sense. Some of it may not make any sense at all, because this is an extremely complicated, topper in what it does. So pretty soon I'm going to post some things up so you can see that and see where we're at so far. So it's still on track for August. Oh, come on.
No, this is not good dinner.
You people from Australia, what is wrong with you?
Oh, they cut you off.
cut you
All right,
off.
we're done.
Wow,
Thank you very much.
That's a way to do it.
Am I allowed to ask? Because I don't know anything. Doom 3's coming out, the movie.
Yeah,
Is that?
it is. The trailer looks
Yeah,
like
there's
it's
a
easy to
third
make.
movie coming out. Yeah, it is.
Is my Doom game going to be out of date when that comes in?
They will always be faithful to part 1 and part 2. So when we designed this game, it was designed to be those 2 stories, because Messiah is actually a separate book. So you look at Doom, part 1 and part 2 is one book. So that game is one. That game represents that one book. So it is actually natural that way. Oh, and I can announce we did get approval for the wizard mode on Friday. But Thursday. So that is actually in the games out there if you can make it. So I wish you all the best. So, I am having Legendary has reached out to me to do some activations. It's just a question of what that looks like. But I can't promise you that Part 3 will be in it. This game is the book Dune.
The other problem is, have you read the Messiah book? Who's read the Messiah book in here? Oh, so y'all all know how dull and boring it is. So I don't know that it's going to add a whole lot to the game. Now, it looks like from the trailers, and we have not seen it, but it looks like from the trailers they kind of went, woo, out here. So we don't know what's in the film yet.
I have 3 questions for future games where I think everybody is interested in. I will never ask the titles, but how many games have you in development? Will Carl DeAngelo do further games for you? Let's keep it on these 2.
How many games are in development and how many is Carl working on? Is that your question?
No. The third one would be, are you considering non-licensed games as well, or will you consider only licensed games?
Well, would you consider Winchester a non-licensed game? I mean, the effort we had to put into the game was pretty much a non-licensed game, okay? So...
Well, I think what you're really asking is, would we consider developing our own IP for a game? Not a non-licensed game, but our own IP. We would consider it. There are some different ideas that have been in the hopper for a long time, since the beginning, but nothing that at this point would bubble to the surface. Because we have, how many in our pocket right now?
We've got, is it even worth saying that?
It's up to you.
So Carl will be designing another game for us.
Yay! Oh, one person likes it. Yeah! Let me call Carl and tell him, hey, Carl.
So yes, Carl is going to continue working with us and making games. He is part of the Barrels family.
And he also is, not only is he the lead on another game, he is assisting with games that are in process. There are multiple games in development right now. Because one of the things we have to do on that is because of, I'm sure you all know, all the studios have been buying each other and trading each other, and someday I guess Walmart will own everything, I don't know. And so we kind of have to play switcheroo, depending on, is the studio paying attention to us? Because we have timelines, and if they're not going to answer our questions timely into what goes in a game, then that one goes to another slot, and we move something else in. So that's what we've been working on now, is trying to get all 3 of these games in development at the same time.
So I guess he just said we've got 3 games in development. So we have a lot of IPs that will see us for the next 5 years, right? But they're all flexible. They all have opportunities. We have new opportunities appearing. In fact, we activated one of those 2 weeks ago that would be pushed up a little bit. But my thing is, what can I get my teams are passionate about? So Carl is part of the Barrels family. He is actively involved, just like everyone else is actively involved in multiple projects. Yeah. So we got 1, 2, what was the other ones? And original IPs, if the team is excited about it, like we developed 3 titles. We have title A that we think is going to be a home run, it's going to pay our bills. B, it's going to do okay, has the potential to be an A. And then we have C, that we are doing it to...
That Brian really wants to do it, but it's a stupid idea. That's what C is.
Yeah,
So.
we just want to have opportunity. We think it'll make it a great game. AK Winchester, we thought it was going to be a great game. We just expected it to be slower than it took off as a rocket.
Than it was. And that's okay, but we don't want to sell out in 28 hours.
No.
We would like it to be a little bit longer than, I mean, 4 weeks is fine, that's good, whatever.
Let's just say it's been very stressful a month after that selling out. Very stressful, because I got very, very mean emails and calls on both sides of the fence, like scary stuff.
I'm going to kill you if you make more games. I'm going to kill you if you don't make more games.
Yes.
Which way do we go with that? I don't know. I'm confused.
Anyway, let's turn this to a happier note. What else can we talk about? Or can I go and have dinner?
Sure. Come on.
Oh, we got 2. All right, here we go.
So,
recently you had a kind of a partner video you put out with SolidWorks.
SolidWorks, yep.
Yeah. So has there been anything, like any shortcomings that or missing features that you've convinced them to add to their software to aid you with pinball design?
You're asking if there's something that we could get from the software that would help us down the road? SolidWorks has been a very unique relationship for us. The software is not cheap. It's one of those things of it's not a cheap endeavor to go down. However, it does really allow us to have creative freedom and find out problems before we actually make it. Traditionally, I would make a lot of foam core, a lot of stuff to move, to figure out how it's going to shoot. SolidWorks allows us to see a lot of clearances that you just can't see. So SolidWorks has been a huge partner for us. And there's a lot of other stuff we're utilizing with them now. So we're actually going to continue our relationship with them moving forward.
And we recently set up at a SolidWorks show that was in Houston, and they have invited us to come to all of their shows now. So we're kind of like a poster child. I always wanted to be a poster child.
Captain.
It's okay,
dude,
come on,
I started
man.
a pinball company. It's
Ask
okay.
Ask it.
All right, so we're talking about IP. It seems like IP is almost always taken from movies and TV shows.
Or haunted houses.
Well, and that's a very unique one. Have you thought about other things?
The Pyramids of Great Giza will be coming in 2027, designed by Carl D'Angelo. No, Jeff, apparently.
And you are in Texas, so it can be 7-Eleven.
Buc-ee's? Who would buy a Buc-ee's game right now? I need more than Kyle.
More than Kyle. He'll buy two. Good, we're in.
Done deal. But yeah, choosing IPs, again, it's just like we look at, what our teams are excited about, but we also look what the pin side and what the fans are asking for. It's just some of those things are not possible, okay? But everyone said Harry Potter was impossible to get, right? There's a certain movie that I've actually been playing with a lot, and I've had a no, and just recently it's turned into Let's Talk, right? So never believe a company says, or someone says, oh, that license is impossible. Nothing is impossible. It's just a question of how you're going to get all parties involved.
And sometimes with the way licenses and properties are sold to different people, one group may say no and it's sold to somebody else and they go, okay. But yes, we would look at virtually anything. What we look for is what do you want? And it's not, I think one of the things Dune showed us early on was it was not really, again, in y'all's bingo card, but when you looked at the demographics of it, it was dead on in the center of all of y'all. Exactly bullseye. That's why we thought, this will just go great guns, and it go like, oh no.
On paper, Dune was.
Oh no. We made it.
But Labyrinth wasn't.
Yeah, Labyrinth wasn't. So when we look at an IP, we're not looking at the IP for the global demand, because a lot of times when people ask me, what do you do? I say, well, I build pinball machines. Oh, do they still make those? Is question number one. And question number two is, how much are they? And when you say $11,000, they go, oh, that's nice. So even though there may be that IP may be huge in the world, it may not be one that resonates, in the pinball community, because that's really what you're trying to center on is what does the community want? Or the other thing we focus on is what do you not know that you want? That we think you'll want, but you may not know that right now until we show it to you.
Yep.
So this is a question for you, Brian, since you're the money man. How much of an impact is having to buy IP from someone else to make your game impact your bottom line?
Well, in reality, like Winchester probably costs more than I guarantee you it costs more to develop that game than some of the other things because we don't have clips. We don't have assets. So if we can go to a licensing company and they have a gazillion assets, great. And even though we may pay them a little bit more, that saves us time and money because we don't have to go build it from scratch, okay? But if we have to build it from scratch, it's a lot of scratch,
That's
to get
why
there.
when we did Winchester, I knew the team I was building to build all the assets for that would be split off to do other projects afterwards. So it was really honestly a team building effort in an aspect. So we had, where's Trent? There he is. So Trent was on Labyrinth. Him and me did Labyrinth. He did most of the assets, but I started out with the assets. He took that over. Then we brought on Joshua from Stern. As in NetherRealms is where he's working at Warner Brothers doing Mortal Kombat games. We brought him on because he understood pinball. He took over a lot of that aspect of it. And then he brought on Julian, who would help do the rigging for Winchester, because Winchester was massive. I mean, we have so many rooms, so many goes to have to do. It's like building all these people that have different unique characteristics that I know now I can peel off. Trent can go off and do game 4. Josh will do the lead he'll do the lead UI for game 4 and 5, and Julian will come in and start doing a puppeting for whatever we need for the next title. So it's just a matter of, it was a big expense up front, but in the long term now we have a team that's more diversified and we can now put them in different places. So yes, it does cost more up front, but I think we're investing in the future of what the future titles are going to be. Yeah, so, and also when you get a license, you're not always guaranteed all the clips. Like they'll tell you, if you get more than 30 minutes of that movie in that, you're technically broadcasting that film now. And that's a whole different level of licensing. Because a lot of the studios think you're just broadcasting it. Then you need to pay broadcasting rights. Well, that's not how it works. We don't play it in sequence. Then you get licenses, well, you can't play that sequence before that sequence. But it's pinball. Like it's not necessarily linear, right? So that's a part of when you're working with studios that have never done pinball before, you're educating them on how you're going to approach it. And that's where the film background, where we do concepts and storyboards and figure out how we're going to pitch this to them so they understand the process. And sometimes they just don't get it and you just go for it. And you just go, this is what we're going to do. And you just keep reassuring them it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
And you talk about the bottom line. The other part is, remember the lying sequence a while ago? Well, sometimes they lie to us and say, well, we'll give you all the music or all the clips for free. And then they go, oh, you know what? We don't really own those. You're going to have to pay somebody else for them. And so those are just, the gotcha things, in this. And you don't know because they think they do.
It's like Jack's Ford car on his Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I don't know that story.
Oh, you weren't here for Jack's?
No.
No, well, did he tell you not to buy any pinball machines? I'm just wondering when you were...
He did that, but he said that Warner Brothers, or whoever the company was that sold the Harry Potter IP, called him up and said, oh, you have to get the rights from Ford.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So when we do a license, you get it's almost like a master license. You get the license for the logo, okay? Now, typically, the music is owned by usually 2 different parties. And then you got the people's likenesses that you have to pay. And then there's SAG. So there's lots of little things that you've got to factor into those expenses.
And you could have, you could have a product that is, integral, like what was one of them, when the Big Lebowski, didn't they have a problem with the liqueur?
It's like Jurassic Park did not have the rights to use their Jeeps.
Yeah, the Jeep. That's a good one right there. So that's a good one. So that does happen, is it's stuff that they have licensed in the movie, but they don't have the license for it. So you have to go to those people to get a license. And then they look at you like, I don't know, how much should you pay us for the name on a little plastic car that no one can read anyway?
It's all just managing people's expectations.
Yeah.
That's really comes down to educating, making sure it's a win-win for everyone. And that doesn't always work out.
How are we doing? Oh.
On that topic, how come Jennifer Connelly's not in Labyrinth?
Dun, dun, dun.
You've told that story. Tell it again.
So essentially, the whole design on this game and the pitch to Henson is this is not her journey. She could be in there somewhere, but it's not her journey. In fact, she's on the back glass in a silhouette, okay? But the whole idea is your experience in this world and to the characters. I mean, a lot of times when I was watching that movie as a kid, I was very frustrated by her decisions. So I was like, wouldn't it be cool to experience, do the opposite than her? So the whole pitch on that, yes, we could have had Jennifer in it, but it was a creative choice. And it was an agreement between Henson and me. It's like, that was the right direction because Labyrinth is more than her. So.
All right, I think we have time for one more. Anybody in the room?
Trent, I saw you had your hand up.
Oh, come up here. Come on, do it right.
We got one online for when is Muppets coming in?
Say it again. What do you say?
He wants to know when it comes out.
Yep.
Muppets. You know when?
What?
The Muppets, when that's coming out.
What? When we're doing the Muppets?
Yeah, when we're doing the Muppets.
It's Juvember, but I don't know what year.
Go ahead.
So the story back to Labyrinth with the likeness of David Bowie and the music of David Bowie.
Yep.
Because that was tentative, to
Yep.
say the least, at some point. Would you talk about that?
So the Bowie estate and the Jim Henson estate, both those people are no longer with us, but they had a gentleman agreement between them on ownership. So one party can't do the other thing without the other party, but they're not happy with each other. So also during that, the Bowie estate also sold the publishing rights to their music during the contract. So I had to actually renegotiate that halfway through it. Things I can't control, but it is what it is. So it's just basically making sure both parties understand that we're trying to do this for your fans, and this should be a celebration of their work and not who gets paid the most. So, it's one of these like nations things. It's like you pay one person this and you pay that. The problem is then you have 4 or 5 other come out of the woodwork that you didn't know about. So that's the story, yeah.
All right.
All right, that's it. Well, I want to say thank you for everyone
Thank
coming
you.
out.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for the support at Barrels of Fun.
All right, you guys, give it up for them. Thank you, David and Brian. Hey, guess what? We got one more session coming up. Multimorphic will be here from 9 to 10 p.m. So stick around if you want to hear from those guys, and we'll be there starting that in a few minutes.